So let's take a breath for Breonna as well. Let's take a breath for Ahmaud Arbery as well. Let's take a breath for Terrence Crutcher as well. Let's take a breath for Pamela Turner, who was killed in Houston. Let's take a breath for Alton Sterling, who was killed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let's take a breath for Philando Castile, who was killed here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let's take a breath for Trayvon Benjamin Martin, who was killed in Sanford, Florida. Let's take a breath for Emmett Till, who was killed in Mississippi.
For more than 2 minutes, Civil Rights Attorney Benjamin Crump spoke the names of just a few of the black men and women who have been killed, many of them at the hands of police.
It was a powerful reminder of the deep wound of policing and race, of which we're just beginning to scratch the surface. Our guest tonight is Coral Gables Police Chief Ed Hudak. Chief Hudak, thank you so much for being with us tonight. First, what is your reaction to the upgraded charges against the former officer Derek Chauvin, and then the charges of aiding and abetting murder against the other 3 officers?
Well, good evening, Francis and Jim. It's a pleasure to be with you. I mean, the charges that we're seeing out of there, is after, I would imagine, an evaluation similar to what we do here in Miami-Dade County, where we have an outside person from FDLE that does the investigation of any officer-involved shootings, and then sent to the state attorney's office, and those charges are then sent forward. So similar to what our system would be, I would imagine that was what it is. My feelings on it is that's up to the prosecutors on that.
Yeah. So, Chief, a lot of people are looking at this situation, and a lot of folks believe that it's a situation of, here we go again. Once again, we're talking about this issue of our police just too brutal, especially when it comes to dealing with people in the African American community. So, does there need to be some type of national standard here? What do we do to solve this issue once and for all?
Well, I think that, Jim, to your point, the issue is going away. Police brutality is something that we are facing across the country. And again, I can speak to South Florida. I mean, the Florida police chiefs, as well as the Miami-Dade County Association of Chiefs of Police, what everyone was talking about in the country, we all knelt together because it was time to pray. And today we met again to talk about what we need to do better. Now, that being said, I believe, our viewers, our residents are protected by some of the best law enforcement chiefs, and we can do better, and we will do better, and we're committed. And out of the protest in Coral Gables, we have a meeting this Friday. Again, I made a mistake when I said to those people, you need patience. Patience, we know, is over, and that was insensitive on my part. But we're going to make changes. The executive board met today. When you're with Freddie Ramirez and George Colina, 2 of the bigger departments, along with Rick Clements, I mean, we all do this together. South Florida has a very good community. In Coral Gables, between the fire chief and the rest of the people and the support that we had that day, we were able to safely hear what people had to say, and we protected those protesters. What I like about what's happening in South Florida is because of the collective efforts of all the police departments through the chiefs, we were able to quell the violence down here and get down to the message that people want answers to. And I think the Chiefs Association, along with my colleagues, are going to be able to answer those questions, because it isn't just about brutality. It's about police brutality, and that's our responsibility.
Well, Chief, the protests in Coral Gables and the images of officers taking a knee, we're seeing a lot of similar images across the country, and many protesters do want the show of support, but there are some who say police are doing this for show and that they're actually getting aggressive with protesters shortly after taking a knee or joining in a march. What do you say to those people?
Well, I think so. When we were in the planning stages with this group who approached us, I mean, I know there was some commentary out there that we organized the protest. That wasn't the case. When you saw the chiefs kneel down, I will tell you that the idea to pray was my idea. The idea to kneel was Reverend Richardson's idea. And we did, and it was spontaneous, and it wasn't to make a statement. And anybody who thinks that we have to be violent or we have to outscream each other, that's not the dialogue that we want. A dialogue of changes, and we will lay those out. We start again on Friday. We don't have to be violent. We have to understand. We have to confront, the implicit bias that each one of us has. And once we do that, then we can stop the racism. We can stop the racism across the country. Police racism, other forms of racism throughout. And I believe that's what we're going to accomplish, because I have the utmost faith in our law enforcement leaders, of which I sit with in the association.
Chief, this is a question I've asked myself a number of times, since it seems that there has been historically this recurring issue of some white police officers being too heavy-handed with African Americans. Why aren't there more African Americans on police forces? So are there enough minorities involved in law enforcement? Would that help?
Well, I think, listen, in some cases you see it work both ways, where the African American officer, may be more we say aggressive with an African American subject. I mean, I don't want to talk statistics, because if you are abused by a police officer, regardless of that person's color, you see the uniform, you see the abuse. Okay, that's what we have to address, is the fact that if you feel that crime it's 1,000%, that's going to affect you. How do we train our people better? What do we look for, and how do we keep that from happening? That is something that plagues all law enforcement officials, because we have to find the next generation and we have to do better. So I don't know if there's one silver bullet, if you will, to say how we're going to stop this. The first thing I do know, and I do believe, as do my colleagues in all the departments here, is it has to take a dialogue, a meaningful dialogue. And I applaud South Florida in the way they took control of the violence in the protests and stopped it, and continued both in Fort Lauderdale and here to start the conversation. The Dade Chiefs are committed to that. My colleagues of the other larger departments, we are committed to this talking, that we do have these groups. And I do believe South Florida is probably a little ahead of the curve in addressing these issues with our communities, because we've learned from the scars of the past. So we do a much better job in listening to our residents. And I know they're going to be upset about it. However, I think we are on the right track, because now the country has started to turn against the violence that is being used against all people, officers, other different communities, and that's something that has to stop.
Chief Ed Hudak from the city of Coral Gables. And Chief, I know you've been a big part of this community for a mighty long time, run into you at the UM football games all the time, and so I certainly appreciate you being very forthright with us this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chief.